Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be. Ryan Padnow here. Me Day for Senate 2026. Granted, right now I'm on a little bit of a candidacy run, but eventually people are going to come back and look at these videos. I know they will, and I know you'll be watching this, and I don't know, I hope to break records with the number of people watching my videos. Today's an important one. It's Martin Luther King Day, 2026. I hadn't really thought about, that there's a holiday coming up, but it's a day of remembrance, and it's appropriate for the man that was Dr. Martin Luther King. And later today, I'm gonna march here in Nashville, and in remembrance, and it's a prime time to teach my 9 and 10-year-old daughters a few things about what it means to be human and how we're going to rise above everything that's held us down for so many years. That's God's vision. Now, the teacher part of me, what I wanted to share about was something that nobody's ever talked about. I'm going to be the first person to share with the world what I'm about to tell you. And so maybe you're here to watch just this. I don't know. Maybe you're going to watch the whole series. Take it in a little bit at a time. Take it in as long as you want. There's time. The scientific truth about God that relates to Dr. King's message and my message. Dr. King had a dream. Well, I have a vision. Okay? And that ties in nicely with being a Native American medicine man, a holy man like Dr. King. My vision is of one people, one nation, transcending everything and becoming one. And that is emulating God more than you will ever know. And I'm about to explain to you how and why. When they say God made us in His image, I'm about to tell you the real truth of the matter. Scientifically speaking, God and religion have been separated over the ages. And, it's not, I don't want to say it's all bad, because I think that in itself teaches the lesson. I was thinking about this morning as I was working out. There's a duality to everything, and the duality there comes from the institution that St. Peter was left with after Jesus left, and that was the church. And that's what we've come to know as the church. At the time, it became the Catholic Church. Catholic, if you didn't know it, isn't just a term for these special Christians. Catholic means universal. The one definition of Catholic means universal. So that means everyone. That's God's vision for a church. However, it over the years, it just hasn't gone that way. And I'm not here to go down a road where I'm knocking on anything. There'll be time to talk about things that need changing and fixing and tweaking. And I'm your guy. I'll be here to help. Two, lesser known gospel that's out there, the Gnostic Gospels that talk about Mary Magdalene. What they don't know about Mary Magdalene is I have a belief that Jesus and her relationship wasn't what some conjecture, like a romantic type of thing. It's more along the lines of a brother-sister type of relationship, and it may just have been brother and sister. I get intuitions about things, and often I'm right more than I'm wrong. And so I don't think that it would be not unheard of, unwritten of maybe, that 2 children were born, a girl and a boy. And people might cry heresy at that. Good for you. Guess what? I'm the holiest man you're ever going to meet, and that includes the Pope. But back to the scientific side of Martin Luther King and his dream and my vision. So God was one photon. When they say God's light, literally one photon is how the universe began. And it began all at once in infinity. Not one big bang, but from one photon. There was never nothing before. There's nothing before God. There's nothing after God. There's nothing greater than God. And that's what I'm here to teach you guys about. And I'm not going to, I guess, pound on that and in this little segment. But how do I know that? Well, I have proof. All you have to do is something I published about a month ago. I call it Infinitas Deus, the infinite God, and the divine spark. Because what I just said, I can prove. Einstein had E equals mc squared. Hawking had Hawking's paradox. That means he never got the answer. Well, guess what? I got the answer. It's there in my notes. It's all on Substack. There's all these fancy places where you can publish scientific papers, and I don't give an F. Because I'm not going to take credit for any of it. It's all God. He revealed them in me. If I took time to sit down and take credit and say, oh, I'm a great man because look what I figured out, well, then maybe things would have led the way that they led for Einstein and his great mind. His great idea, revelation from God, led to the nuclear bomb. And it led to war in infinitas of the last, well, since he did it, since they dropped it. And by the way, they didn't need to drop that bomb. Japan was done. We burned over 90% of Tokyo for sure, and I think that their major cities we burned down in firebombings. That's how mad we were about them surprising us. Don't surprise the Americans, I guess. Well, I don't like to be surprised either, so. But we took it to take it to that level. Well, it was war. I'm not going to get into that right now. But anyways, if you look at the papers, it goes right back down to God being one photon. And how it works after that is okay. Imagine one little tiny dot. Well, you can't see a photon, but there's a dot. Okay. I don't know. I didn't think this up beforehand. So you have your dot. And then, so what happens after that? You have the big into eternity, right? Well, where does Earth fit into that in the universe? Well, the universe is a hologram. Okay, really, there's no place out there to go visit. So Elon Musk and building his spaceship, go for it. you're wasting money. There's better ways to spend that kind of money, and I'm gonna show you how. Because I'm gonna be making a lot of it real soon. But I'm gonna change the world with it, because that's what God intends for me to do. Okay? And I have ideas. I won't go down into that right now. So anyways, after the light, you have the one, and inside of there, we're in there, okay? You have God's universe, and then in the center you have the earth, okay? But why do they see space just keep accelerating out? And that's why they think that the universe is infinite, because they can see that it's accelerating. Well, that's God. God's infinite, but not our universe. Our universe is finite. So eventually, you go, imagine that. I could get real scientific there and blow even the physicist's mind right now, but I'm just going to keep it to a picture. That's what's going on. But each time when that happens is it just keeps accelerating. So you might get here. Well, by the time it goes again, that one that is accelerated just keeps accelerating out and out and out. And that's why it looks that way, okay? And so my point being is to emulate God from one, you have many. And that's us, okay? But you have the iterations too, but in there is us. Okay, and now what God wants and intends is for there to be a balance. And when there's a balance, you're going to have just just one circle. So you'll see that I've been working on sacred hoops that I've been working on now for a while, and I'll be giving those away as gifts as time move along. I give away pipestone quite regularly, so if you're watching this, maybe you got some pipestone from me. Hold on to it. You know, I tell people, you know, you can't. Well, Native Americans only can have it in the first place. I mean, not have it, but we're the only ones that can mine it, I guess is the word I'm probably looking for. Dig it up out of the ground, because Native Americans believe that pipestone is blood of the earth. Well, here's a little something for you. Intuition and some things that you've heard about and seen in learning about ancient cultures, from the Aztecs to the Mayans to the Indians, etc. It's not just intuition, it's because God told them. It's not like hooba-dooba-doo. The sun god is not a sun god, that's God. The sun is God. From one photon to a sun that emits light. God is light. We say that and we think about it metaphorically, but it's not a metaphor. It's the literal truth. God is light. I guess you can probably take the picture out of your mind that somewhere up there's a guy with a big white beard sitting, at a judge's, what do you call that? I don't even know what you call that. And god dang it, I went to law school for a while. Up the judge's bench. Thank you. He's judging. Don't get you wrong. Don't get me wrong. Don't get anybody wrong in that one. But because the judgment's coming. He promised that, and that's what the prophecy in Revelations is all about, is that judgment's going to happen, because this was God's greatest test, to give man free will. When man and woman ate from the tree of knowledge, they became aware of good and evil in the world. And that's where it all began. Okay? And from there's an experiment, and it gets into free will. And I think that I probably have hours I can talk about on that whole scenario and other things that come down, and I know I do. So I guess more to come on that stuff. But for today, let's get back to the one photon and let's wrap it up. One photon to infinity is God. But in a finite sense, Earth, us, we're not infinite. There's more science to that. Let's not get into it. Let's get back to Dr. King. We're going to conclude with where I started with, I'm going to march today. And I have a vision of one nation from one people. I'm going to say it wrong. Hang in with me there, kids. E pluribus unum. From many, one. You see that on the dollar bill. You know, they had that back when things started, because there was things like sacred geometry, and there was still in Western culture, they called it paganism. I watched a little bit when they talk about Abraham. Oh, we can't believe that he became a leader of nations and he was a pagan. Guess what? The pagans had it right. But that's okay. I mean, we all had to go about and do things the way we did, and God let us do it. Free will is a real thing. From many, one. From one, many. See what I'm getting at there? In God's image. In every way. In every way, we are in God's image. Everything about this world. Here's a good one for you. Okay, I said I was wrapping it up, but this will be just a little, if you held it in there for almost 15 minutes. Crop circles. They're real. Are they UFOs? Nope. You want to know what they are? They're cosmic events. You see them. Have you seen a lightning storm? Have you seen the Aurora Borealis or the Northern Lights? Those are cosmic events. Those are God things happening. Well, guess what? If you see the shape of mountains, the shape of dunes in the sand, waves, trees, it's all God. Everything about it. I mean, everything is God. You and me. Light. However, man has free will. And that's the grand experiment that I'm here to, I don't know, help wrap up. Not help. I'm here to wrap it up. That's what I'm doing for God on this one. And nobody can stop me. Nobody. That was for whoever else is out there watching, kids. Because they're watching. From many one. From one many. Sometimes if you're not sure on what you're thinking about, you just need to take a pause and a reset. I know what I talk about. So we talked about the institution. We talked about St. Peter and the institution and Catholicism, or the Catholic Church, being universal. I touched on it, and for a second there I said something about Mary Magdalene, but the idea of her being maybe a sister, maybe a kindred spirit. So don't take me literally yet if you don't want to, but we'll find out one day. Okay? So Mary Magdalene, if you haven't heard, Jesus rose and they said he ascended into heaven. Okay, true. What they leave out is that he didn't just go to heaven and disappear. He hung around for like 11 years afterwards. And how did he do that? They say, because I know Dr. Peterson has a rough time with this, with Jesus rising from the dead. It wasn't just that he rose corporeally, as in physically, folks. He rose in his divine form, in light, and they could see him. I don't know how that worked, don't get me wrong. I just know that that's what happened, okay? And I think, I don't know, maybe that's where we're all going to end up here in some shape or form. I don't know. I guess I'm not going to get deep into that. But anyways, he hung around and he talked to Mary Magdalene, to Peter, and did Peter hate Mary Magdalene? You can find this on YouTube. That's how I find it. I don't just get this stuff because it's all out there. There's pieces, puzzle pieces, the whole thing everywhere. And the thing is the patterns, I see them. That's what I'm good at. I see the patterns in the mountains. I see the patterns in the waves. I see the pattern in the algorithm. That's how I created quantum security. And it's already, nobody's noticing it. Or guess what? I talked to technology friend and some people that know that there's a thing called cybersecurity, but someone in Canada talked about it. That's not mind control. No. So anyways, they're jamming me hard on that one. I say jamming me because it makes me think of cell phone jammer. Like if I'm trying to send a message and they're going to jam me on it, that's what they do. So if it's going to be tough for people to hear what I have to say, I feel like they're jamming me on it. So they're jamming me hard on that one. They're even jamming me. Oh, here's a good one. I'm going to tell you now. Not only are they doing all these things to muddle up with the 5G and the things I talked about yesterday in the brain called microtubules that run on a frequency. They don't run on a frequency, I guess. I don't know the right word. There's a relationship with frequency. And I'm not there yet. I don't understand that yet. I just know that it works in there. And it goes all the way back to the Egyptian pyramids where, guess what? There was a god of the sun and Ra, okay? There wasn't institutionalized Christianity yet. There was paganism in the Egyptians. Sorry, I get a little, I listen to the experts, and I suppose it's hubris on my part to be like that too, because they judge everybody, so I guess I'm judging them because they're sometimes they're just full of it, all right? So, the duality. Mary Magdalene was much more of the spiritual side. Jesus' teachings during those 11 years after he transcended were about creating your relationship with God and being able to... He gets super advanced here because this is what's stuff I need to learn about. What am I learning about? Like, I'm a lifelong learner, so I'm going to learn how to do what he's talking about when he's talking to them about transcending while you're here on earth and being able to have more of a connection with God, like not just spiritually, but like metaphysically. Not metaphysically is more, even then we're still talking like spiritually. I guess astrophysically. Like, literally is what I'm trying to say. Like, there's a way to do it. And Jesus taught them about that. Nobody's told you that one before. Yeah, you heard it here today. So there's a duality. You have Peter, institution, that's the church. And then you have Mary Magdalene, astrophysics, metaphysics, whatever I just said, from the heart. Jesus' message came in two forms there. Church is literal, and you go to church and that's his church. But the church that he spoke about with Mary Magdalene and that I'm talking about right now is you. It's what's inside of you. You are Christ's church too. They told me that when I was a kid. Your body's a temple. They weren't saying it in the same way. They were just saying, don't abuse your temple. Not the time for this conversation, especially with my daughter's gonna be watching. But that was, I went to a Christian camp, FCA camp in St. Peter, Minnesota when I was 16, and well, you can imagine how it went. They talked about your temple, and people got up and stopped, and they weren't gonna abuse their temple anymore. A lot of shame in the church and the institutions that they put on people, which I don't get, because they're not ashamed of anything that's ever happened in their side, in the bad things. And that's where Ron, you're gonna have some problems, because there's been no accountability for atrocities and things that have happened in the name of the church and to the innocent. But that's where I come in. I protect all the children. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday. Look back at the video, the whole hoobity-joobity one, the voodoo hoodoo. I don't know what to call it. I've never been a medicine man before. I just do kind of what I'm told. Look at my eyes in the first one. The one that it's gotten the most views, and it'll probably get the most views down the road too. Look at my eyes. I can't see it right now. But that's because I'm not in the middle of what I was doing that night. That night, God and I got on another level. One of my eyes turned black. And I hadn't really thought about that till just now when I'm talking about duality. So in light, one eye, brown, will reflect. Why? Because that's how light works. It's in the waveform. So black would suggest the absence of light. I didn't think about that so I'm learning same time as you sometimes in these videos, or at one time I was. You're watching this later. But I learned it just now. That was a physical representation of my duality. In one eye there was light, and in one eye there was no light. It's because I am not benevolent. I have a big heart. I pray for forgiveness for everybody. I'm here to help you find the light. But when you don't, when there's no light left for you that don't choose to accept the free gift, I'm there. I'm the no light that's gonna swallow you up into the forever. Never to be ever again. Never to be ever was. You are your line. Just the rest of us will be here happy. I'm not speech planning here. I'm just speaking from my heart. I'm telling you the truth as I know it. That's the truth. More on that later. Went a little longer than I planned. Enjoying the gym and Martin Luther King Day, taking my time, taking in a lot of music, going back through things that affected me growing up. Biggest ones, I'm just going to throw this out there. Every single time Michael Jackson's at the top of the list. And my intuition says he stayed a kid at heart for his whole life, and partially because of whatever psychologically that happened. Maybe that's how God made him. Maybe there was more to it that we don't know, that we don't want to know. It's not my story, and it's not, and on conjecture, I don't know, but I know that he's the most amazing musician in the history of the world, in my opinion. That one is just mine, but I think a lot of people agree. And I've been listening to Otis Redding, Ray Charles, into the 80s, some hip hop. That's what I grew up on, is hip hop, into gangsta rap. You're not going to find, I'll throw this out there, I'm not going to even say their names because I don't think that they should headline even anything. So if you notice that there are people not in lists that I ever produced about, because I'd like to do this. I'd like to come up with my lists at times, and in this case I came up with lists of artists that I like and songs that I like, and so I made a list, and at the most the list will have 81, because again, I'll speak more about it later, but there's a relationship there between the numbers, between all the way from the thresholds called 13 and a threshold of 81, and really that's how helped me figure some things out between okay, this is for advanced people, for chaotic systems versus non-chaotic and finite systems, and them thinking that they're going to figure out infinite systems and infinite numbers. Well, I told you, nothing is greater than God. And so I resolved Ramsey's paradox, which was they wanted to figure out the different numbers of thresholds that it would take to have an infinite number, and then they were trying to find the special number, because there's some numbers out there that are so big that you can't comprehend them, because there's nothing that big in reality. And so that's what happens in algebra. Algebra happens in chaotic systems, which explains why I hated it as a kid, because I'm like, what am I ever going to use this for? And they've used it for stuff, but geometry is a lot more practical. I mean, you see it in everything that they built back in the days, from the mega churches down to their own houses, to everything. They use sacred geometry all the way back to the pyramid times in Egypt, because back then they were still using sacred geometry, even though they didn't have modern metrics. And I'm not saying metric system, I'm just saying modern ways of measuring. It was more like close. I guess if you're gonna go with these 18 hands high like a horse, then that doesn't make any sense. Forget that. Strike that. Reverse it. I said I was going to wrap it up. People are coming in. It's almost 7 o'clock, so I better start getting ready. If you have the day off, great. You know what? One thing that I always got not a kick out of, but kind of got my not cackles, but hackles up a little bit, was when we would have school on Veterans Day, because parents would always like to come in and say, well, why do my kids have to come to school on Veterans Day? Because we don't have to come to school on MLK Day. Shut up. First of all, you're not a veteran. Okay? I'm the one here that gets to speak on that one, and I did. We had school every year. Today's not the day to talk about that. Today's the day talking about for many, one-to-one many. Only light can push out the dark. That was Dr. King's message, and he was spot on. Anytime I've studied some history on this since things have become more clear. Anytime there's chances of real change happening, they figure out how to end that real quick. And you can see it in recent memory, because Charlie Kirk was making a change in the world for the better. He was bringing people together, despite everything they say. People that say otherwise didn't know him or didn't listen to him, because he was open to ideas. Did he debate? He sure did. But that's what we're supposed to do. That's how we come to understanding. It's the Socratic method, I think. I don't know. But if you got this far, good for you. I'll drop my playlist of, I guess, black musicians and that have affected me and during my formative years as a young person, a teenager, adult, and now. I'm finding a new relationship with music that wasn't before, and I love it. So, anyways, have a great day.